Before we get into today's episode, I have to tell you something you've actually been asking for years. One of the most common messages I get is, why don't you have a Mind Love community? Well, I listened, but I wanted to create something that wasn't just another Facebook group. I wanted a space where we could actually grow together with purpose and direction, which is why I created Living Mind Love. Every month, our community is going to explore one powerful focus area together, breaking it down into simple micro practices that actually stick. There's always something new to look forward to, always progress to celebrate, so you'll understand the neuroscience, connect with the spiritual wisdom, and most importantly, have a whole community supporting your growth every step of the way. Honestly, the community alone would be worth it. And I know people are going to join for just that, but we're going so much deeper than that. This is the most value-packed resource for learning and growing together that I've ever seen, let alone created. So you'll be part of the first ever Mind Love community on School, where transformation isn't just possible, it's inevitable. So if you're ready to grow with an amazing group of like-minded souls, go to mindlove.com/living to join the waitlist. And you'll get instant access to my 10-year vision meditation. So let's get into today's episode. Welcome to an exclusive episode of Mind Love. Today's episode is all about how to work through anxiety and embrace your struggles.
Your mind is always the producer of anxiety. So where are you putting your mind? When people go into panic attacks, for instance, they're in the past or the future, but they're not in the moment. And just by bringing themselves into the moment, they can break the anxiety attack. For instance, I tell them just to get very tactile. Where am I sitting? What's this chair feel like? Are my feet on the ground? What does that feel like? Can I move them around? Can I get into my body? Can I really feel where I am right now? And when you can get into the moment, you're actually breaking the anxiety, because that particular kind of anxiety is what if for the future.
It's holiday season. I'm probably going to be saying that every single episode because I love the holidays. I start listening to Christmas music pretty much the day after Halloween. Our mantle is already decorated. I've made the difficult but necessary transition from pumpkin spice to peppermint or nutmeg, depending on my mood. Cheesy Christmas rom-coms are playing nightly, much to my husband's dismay. Oh, and by the way, a rom-com is a romantic comedy. People keep asking me that, and it's just such a part of my vocabulary, I kind of assumed everyone knew. And I know, December's almost over, but it's kind of like when you're running a race and they say, keep sprinting beyond the finish line. That's how I am with Christmas. I'm gonna keep sprinting beyond January 2nd, so keep up with me. Well, the holidays just feel magical to me. I also had a pretty great childhood, so I realize I have emotional anchors with this season that bring back the magic of childhood Christmases with Santa and stockings and all that. At the same time, though, the holidays are also pretty stressful, especially if you've lost someone this year or if you've been financially impacted. There's all the gift expectations and shopping and cooking and planning. Or maybe sadness because you can't gather, or trying to figure out how to make this season special for grandma, even if you can't go to her house like usual. I feel all of this. Maybe it's pregnancy, or maybe it's COVID, but I've had more anxiety this year than I ever have in my life. And it can be confusing because my anxiety doesn't look how I always thought anxiety should look or does look. I don't have anxiety attacks or panic attacks. I don't have trouble breathing or need to lock myself in a bathroom. For me, my thoughts just get too loud, and they tend to feel like doom, like a dark cloud. The day starts to feel like Groundhog's Day, like every day is the same and nothing even changes, so why even try? And then I start to wonder if my thoughts have always been this loud. Has everything always been this miserable? Has it always been this way and I'm just realizing it? When is this day going to be over, and what do I do until then just to pass the time? And then I start to cry. Or at least that's how it goes in a year where I'm 7 months pregnant in semi-isolation and there's an election and a pandemic. So for me, anxiety was kind of hard to spot because I haven't been used to identifying with it, and it seemed to just roll into a depressive episode. But all that anxiety really is a feeling of worry or unease about the future. And how your mind and body manifest that unease might be different for each of you. So yes, I've been struggling, but I'm also so thankful for the beliefs that I've cultivated over the years. I believe that we can massively change our lives and our thoughts through conscious intention, and these struggles are no different. I've also made the choice to live holistically, which means that for me personally, medication is not an option unless absolutely necessary and also temporary. And now that I've dealt with a few of these episodes, they are getting shorter and shorter each time. But there are a few mindset shifts that I think have played a huge role in my being able to overcome my anxiety quickly. First, I don't identify with it. You will never hear me say that I am an anxious person, and I try not to say that I have anxiety. I might say, I feel anxious right now, which is a much more empowering statement because it's temporary, and I already trust myself to move through my feelings. Second, I've already trained myself to look within instead of placing blame outside of myself. This also puts the power back in my hands because I can change how I'm approaching the moment, but I usually can't change other people or events. So these two things sound simple, and they are, but they also make all the difference because my mind isn't scapegoating. If a part of me believes that it's out of my hands, I will have a much harder time changing my situation because I really don't believe I can. Here's an example. Have you ever experienced a time where you can't find something? Maybe you're sure you've left it somewhere, like at your mom's. So you check your bag and your house, but the whole time you're like, this is pointless. I know I left it in my mom's car or whatever. Then finally you go back to your mom's and it's nowhere to be found. So you go back home and now you're like, okay, well, it has to be here. And suddenly you're able to find it right at the bottom of your bag that you've already looked in 5 times. That happens to me all the time. Why do I usually find what I'm looking for only after I know it's not where I think it is? Because the whole time I was looking anywhere else, my brain wasn't working with me. A part of me believed my efforts were already hopeless, so that's how it turned out. Well, the same is usually true for your growth. If you're just going through the steps believing it's never going to work, you're going to have a different outcome than if you put your whole heart into it. Partially because your effort will be different, partially because our beliefs dictate our reality, and partially because you'll even have a harder time noticing the change you did make because you're talking yourself out of it the whole time. This is why every course or program that I launch, I have a whole section on first priming your mind for change because that's so important. Once your brain is primed, removing limiting beliefs, and you start to believe that you have more power than you used to give yourself credit for, then you have all sorts of tools for dealing with anxiety or depression in the moment. So that's what we're talking about today. Our guest is Jean Walters. She's a transformational coach and best-selling author of 5 books specializing in spiritual and personal empowerment. She's also been teaching metaphysical techniques and performing Akashic record readings for 40 years. And she's the author of Journey from Anxiety to Peace, Practical Steps to Handle Fear, Embrace Struggle, and Eliminate Worry to Become Happy and Free. 3 key things we will learn are how to release resistance around the things we can't change, how to identify subconscious patterns that drive our behavior in subtle ways, and how to relieve a panic attack in the moment. Hey there, wild minds. So this was just a preview, but you can access the whole episode with a Mind Love Premium membership. If Mind Love has been helpful to you in any way, consider helping support the show by joining this exclusive community. I promise I'm making it totally worth it. You get exclusive episodes, which means twice the Mind Love, in a private feed that imports right to your favorite podcast app, so you don't have to go to the web to listen. And that's not all. You also get all Mind Love episodes ad-free for uninterrupted listening. You get early access to episodes, and you get bonus video interviews and powerful meditation downloads. And finally, you get priority access to me, so you're free to reach out to me with any questions that you have about life, love, relationships, success, whatever it might be. And in more good news, you can get started free with a 2-week free trial. Just go to mindlove.com/premium. And if you're a student, reach out to me on Instagram and I'll give you a special discount.